All right, let's talk about one of the most powerful and essential concepts in all of Kubernetes, deployments. And trust me, if you're doing anything in a production environment, you really need to get a handle on this. I mean, think about this for a second. This is the big question, right? How do you push new features, fix bugs, and keep everything running without your users even knowing you touched it? Well, that is the exact problem that Kubernetes deployments were born to solve.
So what is it? Put simply, a deployment is your master plan. You just tell it what you want your app to look like, how many copies should be running, what container image to use, and the deployment takes over and does all the heavy lifting to make it happen, and crucially, to keep it that way.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Look at this hierarchy. You almost never, ever touch pods directly. Instead, you talk to the deployment. The deployment then manages something called a replica set. You could think of the replica set like a foreman on a job site. Its only job is to make sure the right number of worker pods are always up and running.
And that's a perfectly fair question, right? If the replica set can keep my pods running, why bother with this extra deployment layer? Well, it's because a replica set's job is, kind of simple. It's good at one thing, but it just doesn't have the brains for what we need to do in modern application management.
And this slide just lays it all out. A replica set keeps pods running, and that's it. But a deployment, it adds this whole layer of intelligence on top. It gives you graceful updates, easy rollbacks, and a full version history. Deployments give you control, history, and most importantly, a safety net. That's why they're the standard.
Okay, so let's dive into deployment's absolute superpower. Updating your application without interrupting a single user. Honestly, this is the feature that will save you so much headache.
So, you've basically got two choices. Recreate is the sledgehammer approach. It kills all your old pods and then starts the new ones. You are guaranteed to have downtime. But then there's the default, the one you'll use 99% of the time, the rolling update. This is what lets you push code all day long without ever taking your app offline.
All right, so let's picture it. Here's your app running perfectly with 3 pods, all on version 1. You've just finished a brilliant new feature and it's time to deploy version 2. So you update your deployment and the process kicks off.
Now the deployment is smart. It doesn't just kill the old pods. First, it carefully brings up a new V2 pod. It waits for that pod to be completely healthy and ready to serve traffic. Only then does it get rid of one of the old V1 pods. The whole time, your total capacity for handling users is never compromised.
And this graceful, one-by-one process just keeps going until all the old pods are gone and only the shiny new version 2 pods are left. Your users never saw a thing. That's a true zero downtime release.
So what's happening behind the scenes? Every time you update, the deployment creates a brand new replica set just for that version and tags it with a revision number. But, and this is the clever part, it keeps the old replica set around, just scaled down to 0. This little trick, this history it keeps, that is your get-out-of-jail-free card.
Of course, there's the scenario every developer dreads. You push the update, you're feeling good, and then the alerts start firing. Something is seriously wrong with the new version. This is where the deployment's other superpower comes in, the instant life-saving rollback.
Forget about panicked all-night debugging sessions. You have this one simple command. You just tell Kubernetes, hey, undo that last rollout. That's it.
And instantly, Kubernetes looks at that history we talked about, finds the previous stable replica set, the one it's so cleverly kept around, and scales it right back up. At the exact same time, it scales that new, buggy version down to 0. Just like that, your application is restored. It's fast, it's safe, and it's all automated. So now we know just how powerful these updates and rollbacks are, but to get all these benefits, it is absolutely critical that you update your deployments the right way. There's a golden rule here. Look, you can make quick changes from the command line, but that's really risky. Why? Because those changes aren't saved anywhere. You end up with configuration drift where what's running in your cluster no longer matches the code in your repository. The best practice, always, is to update your declarative YAML file.
If you remember one thing from this section, let it be this. Your YAML file is your source of truth. Keep it in version control, like Git. That file should be the absolute, definitive record of what you want running. Then, kubectl apply just makes it so.
So let's just pull this all together. Deployments are the heart of running apps on Kubernetes for a reason. They give us that smart hierarchy of control. They enable safe, zero downtime releases with their rolling update strategy. They keep a history of every change, giving us that fast and safe undo command when we need it. And we manage it all through our source of truth, our YAML files. And that leaves us with one last question. Our application is now managed perfectly. It's stable, it's versioned, it's resilient, but it's kind of in its own little world, right? A pod's IP address isn't permanent. So how do we actually expose this beautifully managed app to our users with a stable, reliable address? Well, that's a story for another explainer.